Our next presenter is J. Bruce Fuller. He is a native of Louisiana. He received his Master of Fine Arts from McNeese and his PhD from UL Lafayette. His chapbooks include Notes to a Husband, published in 2013, Lancelot, also published in 2013, 28 Blackbirds at the End of the World, published in 2010, and Flood, winner of the 2013 Swan Scythe Chapbook Contest. He's the co-editor of Vision Verse 2009-2013, an anthology of poetry. His poems have appeared in Crab Orchard Review, Harper Palette, Pembroke Magazine, Yankee Pot Roast, the Louisiana Review, Bern District, the Lilliput Review, and the Dead Mule Review of Southern Literature, among others. J. Bruce Fuller has twice been nominated for Best of the Net. Jay?
I'm taller than Patrice, so... Can y'all hear me? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Nobody told me there were going to be tornadoes, or I might have stayed home. But thanks for braving the weather. I'm going to start off with a poem from my first book, my latest book, I should say, Flood. And this poem is for Liz Burt, who we have to thank for all this. This was her idea for the reading, and I appreciate. There she is. She's a little. Give her a hand, everybody. She hates me for that. But thanks for having me and including me in this group of poets. I'm going to read this poem for her because it's her favorite, and she also translated it into French. It's called In the Cypress Stand. When the water come, it thundered like the host of heaven, breaking the fence post we tied the John boat to. We tumbled through the water into a stand of cypress trees, sharp needles, and bony knees. Alvin was lost, too small to hang on. We stood for hours, barefoot, on underwater cypress knees to keep our heads above the water. Mama cried and cried for Alvin, begged the Lord to wash her away, but Daddy held her tight till the boats come to take us home. She likes Alvin, that's why. Dans la Cyprière, her translation of that, I think she only picked it because Alvin dies. Alvin dies at the end. I thought I'd read another poem from one of my books, Lancelot. Kind of an interesting little chapbook. I guess all you really need to know is Lancelot is my 8-year-old alter ego, so this poem's about me, like all poems. It's called Lancelot Dreams of Adventure. Through the pines the crows fly to where disaster calls them. They flit and tumble and cry. Lancelot, held down beneath the sky, knows that flight is not for him. Lancelot, grown now, and out of the shadow of his father, the king of no one. In his youth he wished to part and blow away along the breeze, to leave behind the people of the lake, the bones and stabs and sinking muck. But the wind paints the grasses, a subtle art, a secret power, a whisper in the trees, and insects sing their dreamy songs that lilt and lull a life away. Lancelot, still here today. Lancelot, the broken boy. He does not feel ashamed. He knows that a man belongs where he belongs. He loves the water, the sharp grasses, the belly-up fish that bob and listen to him at the bank's edge. For what is the sky but another net that can't be broken? No, he knows that down is the way he will go. Down, down into the silt of the lake bottom, down to dream the fish dreams. Lancelot turns back to his work, back to his hard-scrabble life, back to his beautiful hard-scrabble life. It's kind of a depressing book now that I think about it. If you're into that, I got a whole table full of depressing books. One of these days, I'll write something a little bit more upbeat, but not tonight. These next two poems are based on two things. One, Caravaggio paintings, the Renaissance painter from Italy, and to my parents. This first one is called Christ on the Mount of Olives. I wonder if you prayed, Father. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. As we wakened in the night to your whiskey shouts, mother's pleading, the spirit was willing, but your flesh was weak. It was not your fault alone. Your whiskey shouts, mother's pleading, I wake an hour in your place and know it was not your fault alone. That long night a marriage failed. I wake an hour in your place and cannot blame you more or less. There is fear in every garden, Father. When we wake into the night, still we were your sons, disciples. I wonder if you prayed, Father. So to be fair, this one's about my mother. Might not be a good thing. This poem's called The Penitent Magdalene. They were not happy with my choice of profession either, this is while we're on the subject. And people often ask me if I would like my children to grow up and be artists, and I say, hell no. I want them to be astronauts, like a decent person. Not poets, but this is The Penitent Magdalene. In your arms, a ghost, and all around you, pearls you cast aside in penitence. The low chair is humbling. All around you, pearls, a difference of loss and leavings. The low chair is humbling, the longing never leaves us. The difference between loss and leavings is that we choose what we leave behind. The longing never leaves us, a missing skull cradled. We choose what we leave behind. You cast aside in penitence, the missing skull cradled in your arms, a ghost. Yeah, there you go. I wonder if my mother's ever bought any of my books.
Call her.
Right now? Claire? I should call my mom. But instead I'll read a poem in which I absolutely straight up stole a line from Daryl Bork, who is here tonight, and we'll read later. And he's such a nice guy to me that he didn't even say anything about it. A line from his wonderful book, Megan's Guitar, and I won't tell you which one it is. But this is for Daryl, and it's called To the Boat. My reply was au bateau when mother cried on you, The dawn broke cold across the wharfs, the sky was red. I did not know what unknown shore would find me, what adventure was in store when the shores of France passed before my eyes. I was young but felt myself too much a man to cry. Mama, would that I had stayed with you, but I made my own mind, and when I saw the sun was high, my reply was au bateau. I will not repent the choices that were mine. We make our way and choose what's left behind. I will make a home here as I had before. I will make many children here, 10 or more. I will sow and reap the earth. I will marry many wives. My reply was au bateau. So thank you again for coming. And since so many of you have seen me read before, I always get very kind of self-conscious that you're going to hear something you've heard before and then get bored and look at your phone. So I thought instead what I'd do, and this is now that I'm standing here not sounding like such a good idea, But what I thought I'd do instead is read you a very long poem that I've been working on that may or may not be any good. It's the first time anybody's seen or heard it. I should have thought that through a little better. It's called On a Horse Named Tomorrow, and it's part of this is going to sound so pretentious when I say this. It's part of an epic that I'm writing. I know. Every poet at some point tries to write an epic, and this is mine. I hope you like it. I guess all that you need to know is that it's about a horse and my father and water, like all poems that I've written. On a Horse Named Tomorrow. 1. Tomorrow is nervous. He will not recover from the snakes and the gnats and the dark water swelling his hooves with every step. The swamps are a wasteland, not of want, but of water. Here is life and death in equal measure. Elsewhere, people have faltered and the cities have turned to bone. The oil-black bones of the past have dried up, and now we replenish them with our own. But here, the swamp still sweats its eternal cycle. We have always known this abundance of life, and here life clings, but just so. I've come home to bury my father. Sing Jesus of the world lost in the way home. Bless the man and the mount, and steer the snakes clear of our paths. Help me, Jesus. I've come home to bury my father. 2. That was a bleak landscape we traveled to return to the swamps of home. Desert shrubs withered where once lay lowland forests, the memory of bird song. In a dry creek bed, a man led a horse, the dead clay flaking under hoof. Where the world went, the old man could not be sure, or how he came to be one of the last ones in it. I found the man dead beneath the bank of the creek, the horse haltered to the last piece of driftwood on earth. The wood was light enough to pull. The horse had traced a semicircle around him in dust. The haltering was an old comfort. He would not leave his master. He would not let me approach him until the dusty earth had received the man who owned him. After the burial, the horse snorted, his coarse lips pilfering the bank for roots. His flank shimmied in remembrance of flies. It was done. I took the horse for my own. They were heading north towards winter, up where it still got cold in December. I turned the horse south towards dense heat, a heat I'd grown to love as a child, a heat grown restless as I aged and the world died. The man and horse must have sheltered in the open, far from the cities. The horse did not trust their smell, their skeletons reaching up towards the heavens. He had not let me near a city since I found him, and I humbly accepted his lesson. I was of the land now, and some things must be forgotten, and other things must be remembered. It seemed the land spoke to him. He sensed the strange language of the world through his feet. It spoke to him in the way a cloud shapes itself, in the path the vine takes up a trunk, each turn a choice, a future, the futures that never happened, the ones that did. I let the horse lead me southeast. I let him pick his way across the strewn world. For many weeks I was unsure about where we were, but trusted the sun and the horse, knew the border of that great river and the finality of the sea. I knew home was nestled sound, safe between the two, in that dream space where land and water meet. I trusted the horse to take me home. 3. I named the horse Tomorrow. Each time he nuzzled me awake, I knew I'd be dead without that horse. After 2 weeks, I got the heat sickness. He sensed it in me and never let me sleep so deep that I would never wake up. I thought about that old man I buried in his dry bed, the hoof prints stamped in dust like a ritual, the eyes that never opened. I never figured why he'd be so good to me. In my delirium, I repeated something that started as a wish turned to prayer, then a mantra, then a curse. Tomorrow. I told him what I've told him every day since I found him bony and lathered and swatting his tail at death. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be home. Tomorrow we'll find water. Tomorrow we'll be home. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. I knew I'd be dead without that horse. This old world is a scabbard. Tomorrow just waiting to be stuck down in it. 4. We are closer now. There is life here. I am recognizing the plants and trees of my boyhood. Praise Jesu. First, the occasional Jimson weed, that devil weed that kept me delirious across the long nights dying from hunger. There are dried up pin oaks and oak leaf hydrangeas, poison oak and poison ivy, then mimosas, which wouldn't die if Jesu himself set the world ablaze. East past tumbleweeds, too western for home, and into the first patches of sharp-bladed grass leading us to water. Our cut legs stinging the sweetest song ever heard as we struggled bleeding through the marshland. Cord grasses and cattails stopped still with no breeze. Now and then a flowerless crepe myrtle, followed by endless cypress trees which stand forever, even when dead. Picking our way through shallows or over islands of palmettos and bamboo stalks and countless trees I cannot name. From a world of fire I've come seeking the waters of home. Once, water was our enemy, all-consuming, and ate our homes and hearts in ever deeper swaths of drown. Now water must be my own salvation, for nothing else can save us from the fires we ourselves have started. I have seen my future in the ash, and it has spurred me as I have spurred tomorrow home. I miss the rains falling hard. I miss the splash of the fish as he slips beneath the silver. This world is too dry for me, our finished forms baked now in the clay of dried earth, our skin seared from forge chains. But water, which once drove us from our homes, has now called us back, awakened a forgotten thirst in us. I thirst again for the river over the horizon. 5. In the charred dark, I nestle against tomorrow's chestnut flanks, his finished lacquer, soft against the night's long discomfort. My fever has returned, and now I fear it lies within my veins, contained, living within the blood itself. In the sharp sizzle of fire and steam I boil, I sleep. In my fever I dream an iron horse. He is violent and wild, tamed only by the weld and a hard hand. My body shifts from brow to pastern and I become the beast. The oil in my veins cools and I sink down to dream the horse dreams. I run and run until my breath is smoke and I nestle down in the ruins of an abandoned Texaco. My tail beats red flanks with a thud and the flies cannot pierce me. The dream shifts and I am a pale rider on a red chestnut, stalking the dust devils across an open field, my heart a foundry still beating, praise Jesu, and I wake to the eternal summer of forge heat, this welded world. My fever broke in the night. My heart is again an open bowl and the water will flow around and through me without steaming. The day is new. Praise Jesu. Merci.